Do you really have a say on how your child is raised when unfortunately it's been taken to care? I guess your answer is as good as mine. The answer is no. That is the plight of so many parents out there whose kids are in care. The truth about parenting right after the child protection services take their kids, your child, their rules, and what they don't tell you about the system. Welcome to another episode of our parenting tips. We'll be talking about what happened when your child gets into care. Do you really, in natural sense, have control or contribution on what happened when your child gets taken away? But whether you're in the US, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in any of the European countries, whether you're in the UK, anywhere where the system is working and they are out to protect the right of a child. When they are taken into child care, what happened and whether you have a say in what becomes of your child. If you are a returning subscriber, I want to thank you for being a part of my program. I want to thank you as well for sharing our past episode to family and friends. And we want to enjoin you to do same to this particular episode because we're going to be sharing important information that will help families out there who are struggling, who are going through a lot of emotional pain, and also to help those who haven't got there yet and who might take tips that will be given out in this platform that will help them in preventing their children being taken away. The reality is this: when you are not sufficiently informed as to what happens to your children when taken away, you just hear it. It becomes very difficult for you to be intentional on parenting. Parenting is a responsibility and a journey that you go with your children, and you have to be very intentional. Otherwise, if you just let it go as it comes, there's every likelihood that the system that is watching very closely to ensure the safety of your children will come for them. And when they are taken, it will be difficult for you because all your dreams will just be watered down by that process alone. Because the decisions of what happened to your children, how they are protected, how they are guided, because children naturally, because of their position, because of their age, because of their inability to provide for themselves, are meant to be provided for and guided. Decisions are taken for them. Gradually, you walk them through the process by training that they begin to take decisions for themselves until they become adult, when they are considered sufficiently mature enough to make decisions for themselves. And so, if you lose them to the child protection service as a result of carelessness or whatever reasons that we've given in our past episode, what it simply means is that the responsibility of a parent to provide guidance for these children that you have lost as a result of the child protection service is taking your children, the government will step up. And the fact that the government steps up, the government will definitely not seek your consent to take the decision under their care. That means if you have different position, if you are the opposite side on moral grounds, on certain rights, on all the decisions that have to do with your children, theirs will prevail, not yours. And that is how you lose your child gradually. Today, like I said, I'm going to be talking to us briefly on some of the things that happen there and the reality on ground. Some parents have cried in the past. You might even be in this position at the moment, crying that on the inside and nobody has any answer to give to you. Your child is taken away from you. You don't even know, you're not even allowed to decide on how the child is raised. And then you remain to yourself. Gradually you are dying. The child is losing bond with you every day that passes. When your child goes into care, do you really have a voice on how they are trained? Because a whole lot of things is going to pass there. How they are disciplined. Because there should be consequence for every misbehavior. Otherwise, the child will live up to it and become a bad child, a bad society, a part of the society in the future. And how they are raised. And that is a space of silence that so many of us are in. We're going to be talking about that. You have a right that you feel that have been taken away from you. The moment that your child is taken to the authority and the church authority takes over your children, that right that you think you have over your child, that you said, it's my responsibility to do this now, I can decide what happens to you and what does not happen to you, that child, that right gradually goes away. Number one, you don't have the right to the choice of school that these children attend. You don't have the right of what they wear anymore. You don't have the right of the kind of food they take. You don't have the right of the kind of religion they practice. You do not have all of this. You can't even stop therapy that you disagree with, that you say you don't want. I listened to a on the social media not too long ago, and I think that video emanated from the United Kingdom, where a lady was saying your child has issue, and then the school calls your attention and said the way your child is behaving, we are not comfortable with that. We want the attention of the professionals to go and examine your child to see if there will be need for further support for the child. And the person who made that video was saying that do not allow it. Just stick to it because consent is important here. They will need your consent to be able to go ahead with the process. Say no to it. Your child is going to grow out of that. That is spewing out ignorance. Your child needs help. And at this point, they are seeking your consent because the child is under your control. Let's assume, without even conceding now, that what that video said was all that it is to be, or how to address it. And then the child is refused that time. You have the right to say no, even though it is a wrong thing to do. Then the child remains, you feel you can take care of the child can become better. But when the child gets into care, the same thing that you say, no, I don't want to, that is the very one that you do not have a say anymore. The child will go to the therapy. The child might decide now to practice the opposite religion. The child might decide to say, okay, he doesn't want to go to school, but even though they will do the program where they put the child, will do their best to make sure that they have the program that will help the child in school. But if the child now discovers that there is authority now, nobody forces them to do anything, you can only encourage them when they say no, they stick to it, nobody will force them into it. If the child discovers that right, he might decide to tell you he's not going to school again. And you must understand something, that when the child becomes 16, 17, 18, they are adult at 18. At that point, government will not keep them under their care at 18 because at that level, they are mature enough to take decisions for themselves, they can protect themselves, and therefore they are let go. So a child who refuses to go to school, who decides to become serious about life because he's overcompensated. I want to talk about that in our subsequent episode. The child will be left to himself, and at that point, he may want to come back to you, but it's something else. They are giving you what you didn't originally envisage to be. And so, what you do, the person that the child lives with, you do not decide. You must understand that. There are a lot of things that you don't even know about when the child is taken away from you. The child is taken to a particular home. The choice of the home where the child is going to be, it is not within your contribution. You have nothing to talk about that. They take the child, in most cases, the child is taken away from the council where you are. If you are in the UK, it's taken away from the council where you are. If you are in Canada, the same thing. They take them far away from where you are. And you don't decide, I want my child to be so place and all that. In some cases, when the child, the reason for taking the child away from you is that you've been abusing the child has been looking for help, who will come and help them, and then the child eventually received the help, might say, I don't want to see my parent again. That law stands. Whatever you do, whatever you say, does not matter. The child will never see you again until they are due to leave the care. And if tomorrow they say they want to come, that is it. Now, the religion like I'm talking about, you don't dictate religion to them. They decide on all of that. Now, the part that can help, the parents sometimes can help with the legal push. You can attend conferences. You can request a cultural and religious consideration. Those are requests that that is subject to approval. You can appeal education or therapy choices, but they are rarely granted. That's what it means now is that here you can say you want your child to be a member of this religion. You want your child to go to this place. You want your child not to even be a religious person at all. When the child gets there, he takes the whole thing on himself. or themselves. Now, if you want that change, you can only make an appeal. If that appeal is not granted, there is nothing you can do. And the appeal, all of them, is subject to the approval of the child. If the child says, for instance, I don't want to talk about religion again, not even the judge can make the child change their mind. And that is the real reason. Now, there are other things that happen that you don't know. For instance, recently in the UK, agreed by the Supreme Court that the only way to determine a sex of a child, it is the one that the child comes with biologically. The right to choose sex that has been pervading everywhere. Your child has a right to say, I no longer be a man. I no longer want to be a man or a boy. What the responsibility of the government is to assist that child, to support that child to be whatever he wants to be. They respect their right. And so all of this, you may hear it and you say, what can you do now? You are not going to take all of this. It's too difficult for you. That is what leaving your child into care can cost you. But there are things you can do. You don't need to, once he gets in there, the next thing to do is how do you reverse this process? Because the moment he gets from section 20 to section 31, which is a full care act, where you lose the full responsibility, parental responsibility of your child, it's a lot difficult to reverse at that point because a lot of things will happen. They need to call for reunification, which I'm going to talk about. You want the child to be reunited to the family. It's a process. And before you do that, they need to check a whole lot of things. There have to be a constant contact where you maybe once in a month or once in 2 months or 1 in 3 months, depending on the case may be. That is the child approves of it, where you go to a particular place where you visit, the child is brought to you, you stay there and they watch how people communicate and see the body language, if you have gone back, if things are okay. Now, if the reason why they took the child from you in the first place was issue of neglect, they want to see whether the home is in place now, if there are other children that have not been taken away from you, how are they looking now, are you really taking care of them now, if you have appointment with them, you put in the appointment very well. They factor in all of this. And then if they realize now that it is clear that the child can be taken home and is safe with you, that is where the care order can be reversed. And then the court can give order and say, okay, the child should be returned home. But it's a process. They have to do the reunification process until the child is restored back to you. That may not even happen. Most cases, the children are left in care until their time. You can push for that reunification. It can work. And then you follow through with it. You cannot attend every hearing or meeting. There have to be a demonstration from your side that you are actually ready to take up the responsibility of parenting. For instance, a case is coming up in court. The care order hasn't been passed yet. It's still under 20, and then because it's in 20, they just providing merely accommodation for the child. It has not been given section 31 years, section 20 that is keeping the child. Each time the court is sitting over the issue, you are always there consistent. You have to demonstrate for the judge or whoever that is in charge of the case to know that the parent have decided to stand up to their responsibility. Because if you are negligent, I was the meeting, you are not there, you are not consistent with it, a whole lot of things can happen. And that will also give the judge and say, what is happening? This person is not ready yet. He's not mentally ready, he's not prepared, he's not ready to stand up to their responsibility. This child cannot be allowed in the hand of this parent, because one thing that the government sees, that the system sees, is the fact that tomorrow you are going to become old. Everybody is going to become old that are adult now. They're going to become older. They will no longer be functional properly to take care of the system. They don't have the strength to be able to move the economy forward. The people that will take up the reign of authority tomorrow is the children. And so the government want to be very careful that this children's life is not destroyed before getting to an adult where he makes his choices himself. That the wrong choices are not made for them. So they guide these children in doing all of this. So if you realize that this thing has happened, if more parents knew all of this, they will not get away with it. You need to sit up and have understanding to see that you show sufficient commitment to parenting so that the government will also run through the process with you and return your child. I must say this, which is very difficult for most of us to understand. The government is happy if your child is safe with you, that they will return it. Because every services that you see the government render to the children, keeping them in care homes, sending them to this, doing all this for them, buying clothes for them, feeding them, come at a huge cost. The government has 1,001 things to do with money, but a lot of that money goes into care as well. So you will help the government when you do the right thing by keeping your children safe. The government will not ordinarily come to your children, come for your children because they feel you are not worthy of it when you are providing sufficient leadership for your children. If you do that, they will be happy to stay away so that tomorrow can be guaranteed for these children. If you feel that this video or podcast here have been a source of blessing to you, we enjoin you to kindly share, likes, and comment if you have anything you want us to talk about and you feel there are issues that you are not very clear about and you want us to talk about. You can tag someone. You can write it down for us, tag someone on this, like and share. Then you can subscribe because our videos will be coming in on a daily basis. Sometimes it's going to be weekly depending on the topics we're talking about. So that every time we drop an update on what is happening, you will get alerted immediately so that you can listen to it and be sufficiently informed. It will help you. And at the end, you'll be a better parent. Thank you very much for being a part today. We're enjoying you to join us in our next episode. Thank you and have a good time with your children. Bye for now.